What if I told you Gremlins from 1984 may be connected to Beetlejuice? Hey y'all, my name is Mike Vaughn, and in this video, I want to talk about some dark and even morbid theories fans have about the highly anticipated film Beetlejuice, directed by Tim Burton. If you want to hear my darkest theory, stick around to the end of the video. Before we begin, please consider giving this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Now, back to the video. Dark film theories are nothing new, but can provide a fun way to view our favorite movies through a different lens. Some of my personal favorites are Jar Jar Binks being a secret Sith Lord, or Kevin from Home Alone took his love of traps to a new extreme and became the infamous Jigsaw Killer from Saw. To say these theories are a massive stretch is an understatement, but at the end of the day, these are just kind of meant as harmless fun and not to be taken too seriously, so buckle up and get ready for 6 fan theories for Tim Burton's Beetlejuice. Now, this theory has been floating around ever since the trailer dropped featuring this guy. For context, Gremlins was a 1984 film directed by Joe Dante and produced by Steven Spielberg. The film certainly has that Amblin feel, and Dante serves up a raucous send-up of 50s creature features, all wrapped up in a Christmas bow. Despite this, the movie could get a bit scary and a little goopy at times. In fact, between this and Tobe Hooper's Poltergeist and Spielberg's Temple of Doom, the MPAA created PG-13. Still, the movie is brilliant for maintaining a consistent tone that is thrilling, funny, and heartwarming. However, there is one scene that truly stands out. In a harrowing scene, Kate, played by 80s icon Phoebe Cates, recalls why Christmas is such a difficult time for her. When she was a child, her father vanished on Christmas, and it was only when the mother started a fire it was discovered that Kate's father had dressed up like Santa and was set to come down the chimney on Christmas morning. But things didn't go to plan, and he ended up breaking his neck and dying stuffed up the chimney. The moment is equal parts dark and so over the top it's kind of funny, yet it's a standout moment, and Dante really had to fight to keep this scene in the final film. The theory suggests that Kate's dad is the charged Santa that we see in the Netherworld waiting. So in order to make this plausible, we need to know a little bit about how this afterlife works. And here's what we do know. Time works very differently here. In 1988's Beetlejuice, it's conveyed throughout the film that time in the Netherworld, and possibly the afterlife in general, works completely different from our plane of existence. For example, it was 3 months between Adam and Barbara leaving the attic and visiting the Netherworld, which to them only seemed like a couple of hours. So, how does this relate to Kate's crispy papa? Well, despite the fact that Kate's dad presumably died in the mid-70s, he could still be waiting around for his caseworker. And point 2, ghosts stick around for a long time unless they're helped to move on. So the other thing that is firmly established in the first film is you will spend, as a spirit, 125 years on Earth. But we also learn in Beetlejuice that with some assistance, ghosts can move on sooner than that. In fact, that's what happens to the Maitlands. And again, we know that the dead occasionally will go see their caseworkers, so it could just be him hanging around and waiting for some assistance. And I don't know, I don't think that's completely far-fetched, and I don't know, I think this is my new headcanon now. So, this theory suggests that Richard, the father of Astrid and husband to Lydia, deliberately chose to be a civil servant in the afterlife. So, in the original film, it's established that only people that unalive themselves end up working as civil servants in the afterlife. This really doesn't seem to be the case in the 2024 film. As I discussed in my film review, it's obvious that this dark bit of commentary wouldn't really fly today. Therefore, that joke and the concept has seemingly been retconned. Or maybe the rules have changed and the Netherworld started accepting other undead workforce. We know that Richard died during a Greenpeace style mission in Brazil, and later when we see him, it appears he died by being eaten alive by piranha. And look, if I know my Joe Dante flicks, they made short work of him. Therefore, it poses the question, why does he work in this department in the afterlife? Well, a heartwarming explanation would be he wants to keep an eye on Astrid and Lydia. Given Lydia's history with the supernatural, it's not a leap that she or Astrid would try to contact him or even try to see him somehow. Admittedly, we don't know a lot about the inner workings of the Netherworld, but I think this explanation is pretty awesome. However, there is a more depressing theory. It's also been theorized that since we, the audience, don't know that the established rules have changed, Richard could have just ended things via piranha. Extreme, sure, but this would also explain why he is stuck in this position. In the film, we only get a little history about Richard and Lydia, but we don't really know if their marriage was a happy one. It might also explain why Lydia and Astrid didn't go with him on this trip. However, I think he loved Astrid enough not to do something like that, and another theory could be that he just needed a break from Lydia, and this is why he went solo on this trip and as a byproduct of that decision died. I don't really think this one is plausible, and it's just a bummer of a theory, but you can't deny that it does fit the established lore. However, I'll stick with theory 2. Okay, so let's shake off that last downer and get into a little bit more of a fun theory. So, this theory suggests that Beetlejuice is so powerful because of Dolores. One of the great things about Beetlejuice is that we get to learn a little bit more about the trickster's demonic powers. We don't really see other beings in the Netherworld, and we definitely don't see any that display his kind of powers. This theory suggests that the ritual Dolores performs on Beetlejuice, the ghost with the most, is what gives him his incredible power set. Sure, we see the Maitlands shapeshift and do crazy stuff to try to scare the Deetses, but it's just nothing on the scale of Beetlejuice. Like theories 2 and 3, we don't really know a lot about how this world works, so there's really not a concrete explanation, but it's a fun theory nonetheless. Whilst I enjoyed Beetlejuice a lot, I did feel like we didn't really get that closure we needed with Barbara and Adam Maitland. In universe, it was stated that the de-aging technology is not really great right now. And seeing how the couple are supposed to remain the same age as the first film, logically it just wasn't going to work. And also Adam Baldwin was in some mess, more on that later. So it was just decided to literally write them off, and we just get a single line to explain why they aren't around anymore. And I don't know, I think that's a little heartbreaking. Well, what if I told you that a more fitting tribute to Lydia's ghost mentors comes in the form of her show, Ghost House? It makes sense, seeing how the set is a replica of the attic of the Maitlands' original home, and more importantly, the model of the town that Adam built and was his pride and joy. I like this a lot, and it's not officially canon, but it's headcanon. As I said, I don't really feel like we got a great send-off for what was arguably the most pivotal character in the first film. However, I like the notion that Lydia missed them so much, she made a replica of the attic and model just as a way to kind of cope with missing them. And I think out of all these theories, this one is probably the most plausible. Okay, folks, strap in. This is the darkest one, but I've seen it floating around online, and I think it's fair game. For context, in the film Beetlejuice, Wolf Jackson, played by Willem Dafoe, is a former action star that enjoyed doing his own dangerous stunts, and he died on an on-set accident with a grenade, and later we see his assistant with a gunshot wound. And recently, the original Beetlejuice actor Alec Baldwin was involved in an on-set incident that tragically claimed the life of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. who was killed when a prop gun was fired by Baldwin on set. The case against Baldwin was dismissed in the summer of 2024, but it wasn't lost on some fans that there was an eerie similarity between Beetlejuice 1 actor Alec Baldwin and the character of Wolf Jackson and his assistant. It is interesting that, despite her having a decent amount of screen time, she is carefully not featured in any of the promo material outside of a very blurry image. I do find this odd the more I think about it. Why was she shielded from the promo stuff when a literal burnt Santa who has nothing to do with the movie was all over the trailers and stills? Personally, I don't think Tim Burton consciously meant this as a dark joke, but I don't know. The parallels are just too crazy. So now I want to hear what y'all think. Do you buy any of these theories? And hey, mention some of your own, and maybe I'll have enough to do another installment. In the meantime, check out these other videos, and I will see y'all in the next one.